yeah, this will be my fourth bare knuckle fight in a year. Like, not too many guys
Wow.
have already had that many fights, that many bare knuckle fights in a year. So I've been like banging them out pretty quickly. I fought on the one with Bryce Hall, and then I fought on one in Greenville in about April, and then the Scoggins fight was in January.
Wow, yeah. So you've been staying busy. Is it easier to be more active in bare knuckle boxing than it is in MMA, you think?
Um, Honestly, I think it's probably a little easier to be more active in MMA.
Really? Huh.
Um,
Interesting.
a little less. You don't generally you don't have to deal with cuts as much.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, and damage to your hands if if you're not doing your knuckle conditioning as much, or like even with that, like you still hurt your hands relatively easy. That's one of the downsides to it.
Yeah.
Um, and with MMA, like depending on what level you're at, like there's a lot more of events where like bare knuckle, like there's really only two major, like two
Mm.
organizations, and and generally if you're fighting for one, you're not fighting for the other. So yeah, there's not as many opportunities, I would say.
Sure. That makes sense. So your last fight, you got that knockout in what, like 17 seconds, was it?
37.
37? Oh, I was
Yeah,
close. I got the
yeah, not,
seven right.
yeah, not that quick.
It
There was
seemed
more
that
of a filling
quick.
out process.
Still pretty dang quick. 37 seconds. Did you know that getting that, quick finish, that first round knockout, did you know that if you did that you would be getting that title shot, or how did you feel about, kind of being in contention for the title?
They said that there would be some title implications in that fight. So I figured, if I had a real impressive performance, I'd definitely, definitely push me up the line. So that's why
Yeah.
I was really like that. That was part of the reason why I wanted to fight again so quick, especially because the fight before that yeah, I didn't get banged up either. So I wanted to get right back into it so I can try to cement myself into that title picture.
Yeah, definitely. It was a beautiful performance, by the way. I love watching you fight. You're just so fast, first of all, incredible speed. Like it's kind of crazy watching you fight. You just kind of like fly around that ring. And one thing I noticed in that fight is you kind of switch stances sometimes. You switch to southpaw to throw that combo. I can't remember. Was that a hook you threw, a lead hook?
Yeah, yeah, I switched southpaw through a lead hook into the straight left, but didn't really need the straight left. It was something that we noticed, something that me and my coaches noticed on film. He was a long southpaw, had a tendency to try to lean off, and if he didn't pick up on the switch, which that's one of the advantages to I switch my stance a lot, like and very fluidly. Um, that if he didn't pick up on it, he'd kind of lean into the hook, and it would land nice and solid. And yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, well, that's a great game plan. It's good you caught that. Yeah, it was impressive, and even the fight before that too. That was one thing that I noticed is like your stance switching, your footwork is just absolutely incredible. Yeah, it's a great technique and it throws people off too, especially, if they're not used to fighting somebody or sparring with somebody that switches stances. Yeah, I mean, and you proved that in your last fight. You totally threw him off and he leaned right into that hook. So yeah, I thought that was one thing that really stood out to me. And then of course your explosiveness, your speed. Um, what's been like what's the biggest thing you're kind of focusing on, working on, leading up to this title fight?
Um, Reggie's a really great, like more very traditional boxer. So finding those positive angles, especially with him being a long southpaw. I think it'll actually, my style will really come into play. I think like doesn't want to engage in like, you know, like a Scoggins type of war, freaking, where like, you know, I'm willing and able and about that. You know, he's more of a point style fighter where, you know, if you give me the opportunity, I'm gonna knock you on your butt. You know, I want to land hard shots. I want to land powerful shots. You know, I want to kind of break you down, body and head.
Yeah.
So like, you know, it's just mitigating his speed, closing off, like, you know, closing him off, walking him down, stuff like that. Not to give up too much of the game plan, but
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna,
That's smart. That's smart.
yeah, I'm gonna test his will, test his heart. Yeah, I think he's a dog, but yeah, you know, a beagle and a pit bull are both dogs, but one's a different breed.
I love that. Well, that's, I think one thing too about you is not just your technical skills, like your boxing, like obviously you've got great footwork, you're explosive, you've got speed, switching stances, all those things that we talked about, but your mentality too, your mindset, those are huge things as well. And I think especially in BKFC and fighting in organizations like that, where yeah, it's a dog fight. You gotta have that. And I think that probably really stems from your experience in the military and your experience as a fighter. Just, you know, it seems like you've kind of been fighting your whole life a little bit.